Someone in a review of one of my exhibitions referred to my automata as rude mechanicals. That really appealed to me, so I now use it for all my shows. My automata are all carved and painted wood, each animated by a different mechanical principle. They are influenced by my childhood in Blackpool, a love of both art and engineering, and flavoured by life's kicks and kisses. The Tamer. Quite an old piece, but one of the best ideas I've ever had. I wanted two decorative characters to interact, so I thought of the pseudo-military costume of the Tamer and the nice stripy tiger. The Tamer cracks his whip. The tiger refuses. Again he cracks his whip. Again the tiger refuses. Again he cracks his whip. The tiger accepts and does his trick. If you can put a twist in the tale, always for the better. Queen Victoria. Radio 4 Woman's Hour had a discussion on flatulence, telling the story that the Queen made a very rude noise in public and tried to blame her servant. Research showed that the Queen kept Skye Terriers rather than Corgis, so when the action starts you get a reaction from the dog's ear. Then the Queen's eyes. The action continues in word bubbles. Stop that, James. Yes, ma'am. Which way did it go? The Litigants. Based on an old drawing about two peasants fighting over the ownership of a cow while a lawyer milks it. I've taken Justice here from the top of the Old Bailey, and she stands behind them watching the proceedings. The scales go one way then the other. One of the litigants has the cow by its tail. The other has a rope around its head. And there is someone milking the cow. The tug of war goes back and forth. Justice peeps, the scales go. Up pops the milker, winks, and pops down again. So it's quite certain that the lawyer is getting the best of the deal. Or Fantasy on a Swiss Chalet Maid. Some time ago I was taken to Switzerland to look at some antique automata, and fantasizing before I went, I made this piece. She's a lovely girl, and she has a wonderful controllable wink. You can do it like that. Or like that. Or you can do it very fast. Like that. She also has the cutest bum I ever carved. Cooner House. This piece depicts the first act of Dylan Thomas's Under Milk Wood. The blind retired sea captain, Captain Cat, asleep in his bunk in his cottage, is visited by his old shipmates and girlfriend in a dream. His room is full of memories and trophies from his days in sail. Through the window, the fishing boat bobbing sea, and Heron Head where gulls go to be lonely. By his bed, his sea boots. On the chair, his jersey and captain's cap. On the wall, a painting of his old ship. Builder's model. On the plate rack above his bed, ships in bottles, scrimshaw, nautilus shells. A Sunderland plate, prepare to meet thy God. Scrimshaw is the term for engraved whale's teeth. The bell from the SS Kidwelly, his old ship. A wool embroidered picture of a sailing ship. And most importantly, his sea chest. Out of which comes his first visitor. Remember me, Captain, Dancing Williams. I lost my step in Nantucket. You see me, Captain, I'm Tom Fred the Donkeyman. We shared the same girl once, her name was Mrs. Probert. Rosie Probert, 33 Duck Lane. Come on up, boys, I'm dead. Rona Jarvis, come to a bad end. Very enjoyable. Tell my missus, no, I never. Alfred Pomeroy Jones, sea lawyer, born in Mumbles, sung like a linnet, crowned you with a flagon, tattooed with mermaids, thirst like a dredger, died of blisters. Never done what she said, I never. This skull at your earhole is Curly Bevan. Tell my auntie it was me that pawned the Ormolu clock. Aye, aye, Curly. Who brings coconuts and shawls and parrots to my Gwen now? How's it above? Is there rum and lava bread? Bosoms and robins, fighting and onions, tiddlers in a jam jar? Buttermilk and whippets, sparrows and daisies, and old girls in the snug. How's the tenors in Dowlice? What's the smell of parsley? When she smiles, is there dimples? The captain sleeps away through it all. Oh, my dead dears. The intrepid aviator and his dog getting his lady. This piece is called The Victorian Ornithopter and is my idea of how the Victorians felt about flight. There was a Yorkshire landowner who was, I believe, the first Englishman to get a glider off the ground. He built beautiful gliders and built a ramp on a hill on his estate and would sit his coachman in and shoot him off. If he could drive a coach, he had to be able to fly. Inside the bird is a very special mechanism which causes it to ascend the string that it's suspended from. It's not pulled up from the top. The bird flaps his wings, opens and closes his beak, and its eyes work. Gentleman waves his hand, dog wags his tail, lady waves her handkerchief, and the dog's tongue flickers up and down. I have had the piece working 25 feet up and down a stairwell. Sailor Sam and Gladeyes, a homage to Sam Smith. I knew him for about 3 years before he died. He was very, very helpful to me. I'd known of his work since the late 40s, but he wasn't very well known in this country because after the Festival of Britain nearly everything he made went to America. He was probably the nicest man I ever met in my life and was responsible for getting me my first major exhibition. I regard him as the founder of the new school of automata makers. Sailor Sam and Gladeyes are rowing away in their little boat while pieces that Sam made pass in review in the background. Puss in Boots, the Honeymoon Islet, the Romsey Slogger, Bad Ems, the Punter's Dream, Lord Swathling feathering his oars, back to Puss in Boots. I was very pleased with the little portrait of Sam and the wink at Gladeyes. The action of the sea, pinched from that wonderful film, Baron Munchausen. The finished Coca-Cola piece, based on their rather stupid advert, Eat football, sleep football, drink Coca-Cola. Eat football? A team manager, I presume. Sleep football, a player flipping a ball from foot to foot while he sleeps. And the coach, who drinks, I'm sure that's not Coca-Cola. Newcastle Brown. And then, whoops, The Birds and the Bees. This piece on the top rotates steadily as long as the machine is switched on. The action inside takes place on insertion of a coin. It all began with my finding this wonderful eyepiece from a What the Butler saw machine many years ago, and waiting for a suitable use for it through the eyepiece. The earth moves. The earth moves again. How was that for you? The Nottingham piece. One of the most complicated pieces I've ever made. It's all about the city of Nottingham, the history, character and personalities involved in the city. Robin is walking in the forest near to where will be the last working windmill in this country. This is still working as a corn mill and is situated just outside Nottingham. The sheriff chatting up Maid Marian, near to where will be the first onshore oil fields in this country, which were in Nottingham during the war. Robin's not very happy about this, so he aims and fires his bow. The arrow travels across the glade, and you know where it's going. Ouch! Maid Marian's face comes out laughing. A series of characters to cross the glade. Torvill and Dean, who were sponsored by Nottingham in their early days. She's looking more like my piece every year. Boots the chemist started in Nottingham. It should really have been ladies' boots. It was a lady that started Boots the chemist. Rally bicycles are made in Nottingham. So we have a pit lad doing a wheelie on a rally mountain bike. The goose from the old goose fair, they dip their feet in tar and sand alternately. I've given mine green wellies. The lovely ladies' duo from the Yates's Wine Lodge in Nottingham, which is the best in the country. Also the home of the Nottingham prostitutes, their badge of office, their handbag open on the table. Brian Clough, manager of Nottingham Forest for many years, doing a balancing act all his life in football. Captain Albert Ball, the first Royal Flying Corps VC in the First World War, was a Nottingham man. Claire's cigarettes are made in Nottingham. The castle in the background, which is the City Art Gallery and Museum, is one of their trademarks. For the modern Goose Fair, Mellors and Lady Chatterley, the prettiest girls in the country, are supposed to come from Nottingham, not forgetting the Salvation Army began there. American Eagle. I carved this originally, purely as an exercise in carving. Probably one of the first things I ever carved. It's a great national symbol, but I later visited America and saw that things weren't quite like that. So I added this animation. It was just at the craziest time of women's lib. And although it was pretty obvious over there that the ladies held reins to the eagle. The poll tax piece. I was very badly hit when poll tax was announced. I was living in a cottage with rates of less than £100 a year. Poll tax was going to mean a 650% increase for me overnight. So I wrote this little verse. Turn out the poor man's pockets. The rich man's overflow. Support our leader on her poll tax? No. Support her on a poll, like so. And so we have Maggie, who supports herself on the rich man, who supports himself by sticking his Gucci's into the poor man's ears. All together now. Turn out the poor man's pockets, the rich man's overflow. Support our leader on her poll tax? No. Support her on a poll like so. A really heartfelt piece was this. The cow. I've always loved the way cows stick their tongues up their nostrils. So I decided to make one. And I had to give it a purpose, so it's finished up as a dispensing machine. So when you crank its horn, it dispenses one OXO cube and winks on the return stroke.